This is Woody Cook, and he's the most energetic DJ you'll ever meet. For a couple months prior to this, I've been trying to track Woody down for an interview, but we never managed to find the time. So I flew over to New York to film other interviews when I randomly got this text. By pure miracle, the stars had aligned, and Woody was in New York playing some gigs. So, with no time to waste, I Ubered over to downtown New York to an unassuming brick building, which I now call the Oasis. Imagine a super secret Soho house for superstar musicians to stay and practice at, featuring waterfalls, flamethrowers, ancient bow and arrows, motorbikes, and of course, music studios. Naturally, I was curious how Woody ended up here, and upon him telling me the story of who invited him here, my mouth dropped.
Seb Stick.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are here.
We
the
out
boys are back in town. Woody and Seb.
Yeah,
we made it.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So you were just talking about something really interesting about meditation because
So-
we're thinking of doing one.
Yeah, so it's quite funny. We were talking about how do we get psyched for the interview, and you were saying Wim Hof, and I was just Badger, the DJ.
Yeah.
He always does Wim Hof, and he was doing it up on this roof, and I said my kind of version is a little different. I find certain sets. It sounds really weird, but if I just before I go on, or just in the first 5 minutes of the set, I have a quiet, contemplative moment, and I imagine, firstly, like surrounded by kind of like white light. That this is something I got taught just from. It sounds like nutty spiritual nonsense, but it works for me.
Hey, I'm all about that, bro.
Exactly. And one is you imagine like Archangel Michael and Christ build this barrier around you that's meant to protect you.
Yeah.
Then my own versions on top of that is that I call in like some of my relatives who aren't here anymore, my higher self, any angel spirits, whatever that work with me. And then the last thing is like Thor and Athena, their energies. One of them, Athena, is all about intelligence, cunning, and the shield. And then Thor's about power, redemption, and the hammer. And so I kind of do this like almost like Wakanda
forever.
Tarzan,
Yeah, I love it.
Battle cry kind of thing. And some people look at me weird, but like, you know what? I've got to say, it's so weird. It changes the quality of the set. It's like everyone's got something that gets them into the flow state. And for me, it's that meditative, literally everything for a second doesn't matter. Even if my eyes are open, all my attention's here. And then I go back to it. And then suddenly, if I'm like, especially like if I forgot to do it and I'm 20 minutes in the set and it's not going well, I do it. Bang, like night and day. Within minute, the set changes. And everyone's got something. You know, I know my dad gets slapped and has a Red Bull. Yeah. Takes off his shoes, gets slapped and has a Red Bull. And, I mean, I did adopt the slap, but me and Harry do a slap and a kiss, which is just funny. You go slap, slap, kiss, and then you go on.
I love it.
And I also quite like it because me and Harry have a bit of a thing, which is not that kind of thing. Make drum and bass gay again. And
drum and bass gay again?
Yeah, because basically...
Ooh. So make drum and bass gay again?
Yeah, that's the implication.
Okay, I like it.
There's this whole thing with some of the old heads in jungle and drum and bass. So much respect for them and the artistic vision and everything. But there is definitely twinges of homophobia in it.
Really?
And
a
little bit.
Some of the raps they use like Batty and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like it comes from. I don't actually judge anyone specifically. Think it's like the same way I knew a guy from Russia who then came out as bisexual. He was really homophobic till he came out as bi.
That's
and
the
then
story of all. Everyone's a lot of gay people who aren't out tend. Well, actually, no, I don't want to speak for all, but some. You know, like when in school when someone's homophobic and you're like, maybe they've got a bit of like, maybe they're just jealous, you know. Yeah, or maybe they're kind of like taking it out on someone else because they can't understand themselves. But I think what Make Drum and Bass Gay Again invites is it can wind up those people who are still kind of homophobic without actually saying anything like negative. And the other thing is like gay means happy or fun as well. And it just means be out there, like take risks, be weird. And because like, if you looked at early like house and disco, it was gay in many senses. It was like, it was a lot of the sort of trodden down communities, sort of the gay and black communities, which were united in this counterculture movement. And so part of it isn't just like the kind of trying to take the mickey or trying to get in. It's not about rainbow flags. It's about a culture where everyone is loving to one another. You know what I mean? For sure. And I love that.
And I think it's got a ring to it.
Yeah. I was thinking about this now as you say this. I was like, because, you know, everybody tries to put people in boxes, which I'm against.
Yeah.
But I think you're like when I think of Woody, I'm like, I think he's this amazing, like, creative I actually think you're a leader. And I think it might sound a bit weird because when people think of leaders, right, they think of, like, maybe not like Donald or, you know, like Sleepy Joe.
Sleepy Joe. We're in his gaff, mate. It's a literal house like in America. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, true. We can't say that here. We'll
Careful, the pigeons with sniper rifles. Like,
but I think you're like I think you have visions.
Thank
and
you.
I think you have creative visions and ideas, and you're like, I sense this energy. Like, I want to fucking get them done.
Yeah.
Is that true?
I mean, yeah. I think so.
Was that passion always there? Was it like
so? I don't know. I started most of my life when I was a kid. I just felt kind of at peace in place where I was, and then I had a couple moments when I was about 15 and 16 where like suddenly I'd gone from kind of in this cocoon of video games. Life was, you know, school was crap. Things were just normal, and then there was a couple like just conversations and even festivals where I felt this spirit rising in me. It started as just like that pure anarchy, like something needs to change, that kind of thing that a lot of teenagers get. But then mine was, exactly. And like at Reading, tents on fire and the fire in my eyes. I was like listening to Muse, like Uprising, and I'm like, I've got to do something. It's the fire. But then I realized, I think the big thing is, you know, some people go from like anarchism and communism to, I would see that you can never tear down a system without a better one in place. And I think a big thing that a lot of people are missing is cancel this, destroy this, and all of that. That's all well and good. And we need to address these issues, but we need better options because look what happened, even parts of the Middle East. Like, I'm not saying anything America or England's done is good. I'm completely against it. But when they pulled out, someone else moves in. And that's the problem. It's this thing of like, if you don't have a better solution, then that's when people rise to power that aren't the good people, you know, because you an open space. That's when, like, even in America, I found out, I think, was it in Atlanta? I can't remember. You can put something on screen where it actually was. But basically, during BLM, these people took over a block, and they took over like 3 or 4 blocks, and they made this new state. And they were like, look, they had food, water, all this sort of stuff. They cordoned it all off, and they went, we're going to stay here till there's equal rights. And it was like this movement. And 2 weeks in, someone got shot. And then they were like, they had purposely banned the police from entering. And they go, we need your help. And the police were like, yeah, no, we're not going in, mate. That's your own state.
Yeah.
And then the next day, someone got shot.
Fuck.
And in total, like, 1 person got severely injured, 2 people died, who were both black. And the whole thing was BLM, we need equality. And then people got shot. And it's because people came in and were their own police. And it's like, you know, people say cancel the police, but like, there needs to be something.
Of course.
It needs reform and it's just, I think the biggest thing I learned was New Zealand has really just police because in their videos training to be an officer, they needed to change it up. And they had a new advert where cops were like helping people cross the road or the cops like in a high-speed chase to get a dog and return the dog to their owner.
It's an amazing advert.
It's amazing and it's so New Zealand as well.
Yeah.
It's so like Aussie New Zealand humour of like absurdism. And at the end of it, they got a spike in people applying who were just nice people. Whereas they showed the American advert where it's a guy in a tank. There's no tanks in the army. And he's literally on top of a tank. It might as well be blown, America! And we're going to save... Yeah, either way. And
American cops are bad, bro. I sense it. I get scared. And I'm like the most innocent... white-looking boy you could probably find. Like, I'm wearing...
Search me. I'm literally... There's nothing to find, but I'm still nervous.
Yeah. I do get when you see them, because they're not very friendly, are they? Like,
no, and like even once I tried to touch do not touch the dog, he is at work. And I'm like, it's like a drug dog or something, I don't know. But I just found it so funny. Sorry, sir, I didn't know you were at work. But look,
that's fascinating.
And I think I only said all this just to kind of demonstrate the point, which is you can't tear down a system without putting something new. And so a lot of what my mission with my company Truth Tribe, which is a sort of collective, it's about bringing people in through music and building up smaller artists and everything, but with the message, because music is the one thing that unites all nations, you know?
For sure.
Like, you can play, especially certain types of music, something like reggae dub, it's actually universal. Like, there's Eskimo dub.
Yeah.
There's Japanese dub. How you doing?
So for context, should we say the surprise guest?
So surprise guest today is Fred again, and he might be using my USB. I've got space on my USB. He can keep it if he wants. Tell him it's full of my own shit. Oh my god! I'm only here because of that's a good story.
Yes. Okay, so this is actually a perfect story.
Yeah, this is a good segue.
Fred again. For people who don't know, I came in here and about 2 minutes in,
I was
like, there's a special guest coming, and I was like, and it was like, again, and you stood like, Fred again, and I was like,
Mr. again, yeah.
So I was like, okay, little switch up, it's calm.
Just casually, you know.
Just the greatest EDM producer in the world.
Yeah, just a revolutionary DJ. No, yeah, but so the story of why I'm here, actually, much like we had a very magical time at Glastonbury 2 years ago.
We did.
And then any time, and I'm getting so sidetracked. I'm at Glastonbury, right? And I ended up at my dad's set. If you don't know who that is, here is
fat boy
the lovely interview that's already been done with him.
So you've got more of a YouTube brain than me.
I don't know. Anyway, so I'm in the crowd, and I had this thing. I knew his set was So I knew his set was going to be on the BBC coverage. And I had seen years ago, like, my dad's mate got on the coverage because they filmed the reflection in his sunglasses and this, like, sunset. And I was like, oh, mate, if that cretin can do it, I can. So I stand on my friend Elias's shoulders, who we both know, and I'm on the shoulders, standing, oh, Jesus, he's already...
So you hear those
Fred
beats?
again is playing my tunes downstairs.
Is that your tunes?
Well, he's playing my USB, isn't he?
Come on now. Easy. I think Woody Cook X Fred again collab.
Oh, mate, hopefully one day. Either way, so basically I end up crowd surfing because I'm on my mate's shoulders and this airbed hits me in the ankle. And I go, what? And everyone goes, get on it. So I'm like, I'm already on it. No, anyway, I get on the airbed and I get kind of surfed to the front. And like, kind of felt like a magic carpet ride. Like I was Aladdin and I was going over the crowd. And at the front, I see my dad, we point at each other. It's this moment. I'm just dragged off the thing by security, and I'm just like, I'm so in bliss of this. Just watch this happen. It's such a magic moment. I'm like, wow, man, we're already out here. And then in the meantime, there's a guy getting me in a headlock, dragging me along the thing, and I'm like, oh, this guy's helping me down off the thing. I didn't even. It was only after he'd marched me a few meters. I'm like, you don't have to be so like tight on my neck. I can walk myself. And then I was like, oh shit, wait, is he? Am I being dragged off somewhere? And then someone comes down and goes, no, it's fine. He's it's fine. And they let me back in the crowd. It was only then I suddenly went, oh shit, this guy's trying to drag me off. I'm like, oh, come on, I was just crowd surfing.
He was trying to drag you out the festival.
Yeah, I don't know where, some sin bin somewhere, trying to kick me out the crowd. Either way, I get back in the crowd. Eventually, at the end of it, I go to my set. It's a place called Gorilla Bar, really hard to get into. I booked the set myself. I called up loads of people. I was like, I really want to play there. Get there 5 minutes before my set because of the crowd surfing, and they delay me by an hour. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. And then I start playing, and this is one of the best sets I'd ever done. I'm on a like, there's a bar, and I'm standing on the bar, and we're in this tent, and I'm pushing the roof up, jumping around and everything. And little beknownst to me, a guy called Red and a guy called Fred.
Are they brothers or just best friends?
Only brothers in arms. And they produce together, they like work on a load of stuff. Yeah. And now I'm a massive collaborator with Red. And basically, they stumble in, and they had been in the Corrupt FM crowd because they produced the album, and they got pushed out the crowd.
They got pushed out?
Yep. And so I was like, that's a bit of fate. The crowd surf and the pushing out the crowd, we met. Either of those hadn't happened, would have never met them. And so I'm in the thing. They come in and they go, yeah, I wouldn't be here. Look at us. Yeah. And there was this bit where, thank God. They come in, and what I love about this story, I only learned this the other day, is that at first they went, who's this idiot? And I love that because so you know what?
Why did they say that?
Well, because over the years, so many people, even my best mates, didn't like me for the first 3 minutes. They're like, who's this idiot? And I quite like that. I don't mind. I'd rather it was that way around. That people like me and then went, oh, who's this idiot?
Because I don't. Up.
Yeah,
the
first,
more,
never
more they
judge.
know you, the more they like you, which is a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, never judge a book by its cover. And like, you know what? I can be a very manic man, and I can understand. I'd probably say the same thing. But they come in, and then after a while, they're like, this guy's cooking. And the two of them are like, no, he's really good. And at the end, they kind of go to leave, and then Fred goes, no, we got to go tell him that he was cooking. Like, that was a banging set. And I don't even, they come up to me and I'm, oh, hey, nice to meet you guys. I'm just chatting to them. I have no clue who it is. Because I think Fred was in disguise. He had this bucket hat and some glasses, and yeah, like comically bad disguise. But I'm also I'm hammered and I'm in like glowing, and so anyway, I kind of don't even realize until the next day when everyone's like, do you know who that was? And then I don't know if it was the next day or the day after. Red got in touch, and then Red has got me. He got me in a production lesson with Zed Bias, the garage legend, and he completely flipped my production. He get from samples to things to just methods, and now I've been doing music lessons, and all of this is from Red, because Red was like, look, I see some talent in you. I see like you've got your own style, and I want to take you to America. And I saw that fire.
No way.
I saw the fire in his eyes, and. In life, people go, how can you trust people? And you know what? I've had people
that was one of my questions,
claim to be millionaires or are millionaires, but then they just fail. They say, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and then just don't.
So they
don't
offer
turn
help,
up.
but then they don't actually follow
Yeah,
through.
but we've all had moments where we've sailed the stuff and it doesn't go through, but there is also those moments where people say stuff off their nut, and the next day they draw up a plan. Like Jimmy Iovine, he was saying to Dr. Dre was like, I don't want to make sneakers. And he went, you're right. You don't need sneakers. You need speakers. And Jimmy Iovine runs out of Dre's house. And Dr. Dre's like, what's wrong with him? Comes back 6 hours later with a drawing board, designed this whole speaker. And that's how Beats was made. And then they sold Beats to Apple for like $2 billion or whatever.
That's crazy. What do you think the moral of that lesson is?
The moral of the lesson for Jimmy Iovine is that he once tried to book Elvis and they wouldn't let him. So he called up the producer 600 days, I think it was.
Wow.
Every single day. And on the 600th day, they went, yeah, you can book Elvis.
So it's like persistence, I guess.
It's persistence, thinking outside the box. Yeah. And it's people, I think the last one is actually doing it. Saying it, doing it, putting it into perspective. So many people go, oh, I would be great at this, I'd be great at this, and never do it. And I think a big thing of what I learned with creating my company, with everything, was I have this idea, now I'm going to do it. And it's like, even if you suck at first, you have to suck at first to get good at anything.
It's a process. You have to be shit. It's like running tap water.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to
or like warming up the shower.
Yeah.
It starts, although
it starts as a shock. You're like,
starts freezing, and then but it shocks you into the system, wakes you up.
Yeah.
And then you're hot shit. Yeah. And then I think,
damn.
Yeah.
We cook it. That was some quotes there.
Or you could have a cold shower and then you're cold as fuck. No, but I think it's one of those things
where no messing about.
Man, I don't even know if I'm allowed to swear. But yeah, I think so. A big thing is like, it's also your brain is your biggest tool, right? And training it in any way. Like I'm not at uni anymore. Like I did a year.
I
couldn't do it. It's not for me. But it's one of those things where I left education, but I continued education because I was reading books when I couldn't, and because people go, oh, I can't read books. Well, then I got Audible. So when I couldn't read books in those times where life was too hectic, I would slap on the audiobook as I was going to sleep, sometimes while driving, sometimes on a plane, if I didn't have any Wi-Fi. And you find the right books, people suggest things to you. Stuff like that trains your brain constantly. And now it's like, I've been producing music myself, but it's like I'm getting to the point where I'm surrounded by artists who are so incredible. And I have the creative vision to do all these things, and when someone else is producing it, but sometimes my own lack of, I can't play piano, things like that, are now strangling my creativity. So this kind of, because I don't really work most of the winter because there's not a lot of work, and I just work my arse off all summer, sometimes like 5 or 6 days a week. I'm like, right, winter, I'm going to do as many music lessons from as many people as possible.
I love that.
And so I've been doing like 2 a week. I did theory lessons. I'm potentially going back to piano lessons. And just any lesson I can. I'm like, squeeze them all in, because people are like, oh, you could teach yourself from YouTube. I'm like, hear me out. A one-on-one from an expert versus, like, if I can't ask the YouTuber a question. I can't be like, it didn't work.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, YouTube is good for some things.
Oh,
but
100%.
The learning period is a lot slower, and also like I think for music it's different. I really do.
And that's because it's also like it's such a collaborative art form that goes back and forth. And so for me at the moment, I'm like, even with like TV and stuff, it's like I don't want to do too much more TV stuff until I've got these projects that stand on their own feet. I think Tyler the Creator said it best. There was one point where they went, "You're the really funny guy from YouTube," and he goes, "What the fuck?" And he goes, what do you mean? And he goes, you're the funny guy from YouTube. And he goes, what about the music? He goes, you make music. And then Tyler Creator's like, I'm going to not say anything funny
for a whole year.
Yeah. Because like, if I die as the funny guy, I will be miserable. It's just this idea in his head, like, if that's my legacy.
That's not what he wanted. He saw his potential in elsewhere.
Exactly. And yeah, so for me, it's like, people would be like, would you go on I'm a Celeb? Would you go on this? I'm like, well, if I did, I would then reduce myself to a Nepo baby. I would suddenly be the child of someone rather than standing on my own feet. And it's like, I am currently in New York because I played a gig so well that it sounds boastful. Yeah. But nobody for me, it's karmic because they came into that gig, they approached me without knowing anything about my past, anything about my history. That was a gig I bought myself booked for, all of that. And so when people say something like that, or like that, you know, or you've got this foot in the door, it's like, yeah, but a foot in the door doesn't mean anything if you don't do anything with it. Exactly. Like I've worked my arse off since then, and all this spring, summer, everything. Again, I'm in places like this, sweating it out, getting everything done, because when the summer comes, I need to have leveled up my game, because that's how you keep growing.
It's something I've had, like, so there's one point, remind me if I forget, it's called about essentialism, but I've got another point to answer your kind of what you've been talking about first. But I feel this, and like, I don't know if it is a pain, but I imagined and I felt your pain. I thought about this before. I was like, I can tell how dedicated and how much hard work you put into it, and I recognize that. I think there's actually much more pressure, and I wonder if that's tough, because for me, I've and this is like a much lesser extent, but I've had people before go, oh yeah, but your parents do quite well, Seb, so they must just fund you to go do these adventures and travel on YouTube. But I've never been given any money from anybody for this. I mean, I got like 20 quid when I was a teenager, pocket money. But it's like that point, I've built this thing, and I still find it tough, even when it only happened like twice.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
does it happen? And
I say all that. I called my mum up and I was like, shit, I don't have my passport. I can't get back. Can I have €80 and $80? And she was like, you little shit. It's like, you're going to pay me back. I love you. Yeah.
I did that last summer.
I felt shame doing that. But look, you're completely right. It's and I think the thing is, I don't really usually take that much offense. And there's comments. I mean, years ago I did a set in Ibiza during lockdown, and someone was like, "Don't read the comments." I'm going, I'm not gonna lie. If I was at home in lockdown, and I saw some kid who had a famous dad and he was DJing, I'd be like, "Yeah, go fuck yourself." You know what I mean? But it's like, put into perspective is, every time I've asked my dad, "Can you play this gig? Can I do this? Can I do this?" He said no. Every single time. Anytime someone approaches me, tries to book both of us, I go, listen here, bud, if you're going to try and book a gig and it involves my dad, I'm going to save you some time. It's no. It's no. And so people are like, oh, come on, yeah, no, I'm sure. And I'm like, no, I've done this for 3 years, and every time a plan has relied on what he's going to say. Yeah, it is, and it's because it's suddenly like it makes me work. It's like once we tried to do a gig in Brighton and tried to book him, and if we'd done that, it would have defeated the whole point of like, we probably would have run it like shit anyway. But we needed to get to the point. He'll say yes one day, but I've got to be at that caliber. I think he even said something like that, and I think that really works though, because like, so I got booked for his festival, All Back to Minehead, and I ended up. I had the set just in the afternoon on the Sunday, and someone pulled out. They gave me another set, and I absolutely sent these sets. I was so nervous, and the first set I didn't even enjoy because I was so nervous. The second set I was yeah. It's not like every set. It's like every 2 months there'll be just one where it's an hour of anxiety, and then everyone goes, "That's the best set you've ever done." Whereas, but you don't think that at the time because you're so worried and such a perfectionist. But I think everyone gets it. It's like it's when your family are there, or like when there's a specific like crowd you've not really sussed out yet, or you're really hungover. Anything, everyone gets those little points. But for me, a big point was the fact that after that set, the Facebook group were like, "Woody needs a better set next year," and it was a moment where my dad and his management got genuinely like hundreds of people going, "Give Woody a better set next year." And that was like, oh my God, I was glowed up. And 4 months later, they're still talking about it. And this was from the last year. And then the next year, I get another set, and people were going, someone said I flew from like Belarus. And he's like, and you were my favorite set. And I was like, and it for me, and I sound like so egotistical saying it, but I think for me it's like having played some absolutely stinking sets, some like, especially near the beginning and everything like that, and played the set where I just wasn't the right DJ for that location because I'm quite weird. I can't do straight pop, and when I'm about to go on and they're playing like what Heart Radio does in Brighton, you're like, yellow diamonds in the night, I was standing inside. Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, or even, no, see, that's a banger, but like if it's like, excuse me, I might drink a little more than I should tonight because you might not get the moment. Like,
honestly, it could be kind of fire with a remix. Like
see, I actually heard that and I was in the toilet. I was like, sometimes it goes, this is really funny. I'm not sure if I'm the only DJ who does this, but you go to the toilet right before the set, and then you end up with like, it's embarrassing as hell, but like an 100 wiper, and there's someone knocking, going, you're on stage in 5 minutes. I'm like, yeah, 1 sec, and it's just so embarrassing because it's like, I'm not getting up.
God, how do you not, like, I was going to say, how do you not shit yourself?
Yeah, well, that's why I don't shit myself. But
like, bro, I mean, I guess it's your job.
It is anxiety inducing. It's probably, the thing is probably just go shit 3 hours beforehand. But if you're about to go on stage and you're like, well, you run in, and then, the worst was actually having to ask someone for toilet roll. And they're like, bro, you're on in 5 minutes. I go, I know, please, can I have some toilet roll?
Fuck, I don't get how you don't. I mean, you probably are stressed out, but it's like the situation. It's like when people ask me, they go, like, and I'm not very experienced at strangers' interviews, but like when I interview strangers in the street, people are like, "How do you not have a panic attack?" I'm like, I kind of do. I kind of actually am, but I just like, it's just you get used to it, and it's some muscle, and you build it. And the anxiety's still there, but you get better at covering it up, and like you can feel more natural in the stress.
Well, yeah, and I think for me, I learned. One of the things that the reason I wouldn't be a sort of just like an actor is that I worked out I can be completely comfortable with improvisation off the cuff, as you can see. But anything that's scripted I can't do. So and whenever I had to give a speech, anything that's written, I'm just really dyslexic, and my brain just has this kind of like dyslexic aneurysm where it's suddenly every word's the wrong order and I panic. Whereas I found, for me, talking, just even if I tried to plan a set, I can plan the first 2 tunes or the last 2 tunes, and maybe some I play in it. But if I plan any more than that, I think, what was I meant to play rather than what do they want to hear? And I completely scuff up. But so I just works for my brain. I have to be, that's how I get in the flow state. And that's, you get with interviewing, it's like maybe that first couple are a bit weird, but then you finally find that person and you realize, oh my God, I wasn't awkward. It was both of us. It was like I was interviewing someone who didn't really know why they're being interviewed, and I was kind of feeling awkward. And then you find the person who wants to be, and you're both in the flow state. And I think it's about carrying on and persistence, because so many people go, oh, you look, you know, in that set you were going for it and all that. I could be feeling incredibly anxious, but as long as nobody knows, then nobody knows. Exactly. Because if I mess up a mix and I go, people know.
If you do it with confidence, like.
Yeah. But if I just.
Like, okay, he's cooking.
At one point, I completely stopped the decks.
Too American there.
We're cooking, we're feasting. And I.
Oh, no, don't cringe me out.
Mate, sorry, there's this guy called Banquet, and I met him the other day. He's really lovely. And he's got 2 producer tags. One's it's Banquet, and the other's I'm feasting. And I've not been able to stop doing it. I love it. I'm feasting. But either way, so
I don't mind you doing it. It's just when I do it, I cringe at myself.
Mate, yeah, but that's it. And that's it. It's just you have to like, push past that point where if you know you're cringing and you're kind of making a show of it, look how awkward I am, you kind of take ownership of it. And I saw somebody did a speech once where they started by being really self-deprecating. They went, hey, now you're laughing with me, not at me. And he went, now you're on my side. And he was like, now you're thinking I'm a bit too much. But because I came up and I showed insecurity, immediately your human thing is that you want to like me. Had I come up and gone, hey, I'm the bee's knees, I'm the shit, then it might not have been that way. And I always took that to heart. And years ago, I ended up doing a rap at someone's 50th birthday. And it was awful. But I started it by going, hey, you know when you agree to do something at Glastonbury, and it rolls around, you're like, shit, well, I'm here now.
That's the perfect start.
Yeah.
I think you're a natural storyteller.
Well, I had to. And then it was embarrassing, but it was endearing because it wasn't like, hey, look, I want to be a rapper. Yo. It was this kind of thing of like, I agreed to do this, now here.
Yeah, and it's like a funny thing. It's not like, fuck, I feel really bad for this guy. He's having like a panic attack rapping.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like, and at one point I screwed up all the lyrics, so I made one up on the spot, which was like, oh shit, it's getting hectic, wrong time to be a stage fright dyslexic. And I was like,
Jeez.
oh, bars, what? You know, but again, you make the meme out of yourself. And I think that's it. And it's like, even with sets, it's like, if I'm going for it on the decks, and everyone's looking at me dryly, it does sap your soul. So I just find that one person who's like, this is it. If you look eyes at that person, then everything's great. And I had this moment where I accidentally played the song on the same deck, so it cuts the music out. And everyone's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And there's a cue button which just starts the song for a sec. And so I went, dum, dum, dum,
did you do it
dum, 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 pull back in, and everyone was, whoa, and I jumped up, and everyone, you know, then some people think, oh, maybe it's on purpose. I may have done it at Glastonbury. I don't want to talk about, it's not a frequent thing, but it was a real moment where someone went, how the hell did you save that? And it was. It's not even that. It's fake it till you make it. That is one of the best things I can give advice to anyone, is because if no one knows how anxious you are, and you also, every time you do that, you kind of extend your comfort zone. And it's the only reason I do anything I do is because since I was 15, I decided anything that scared me or anything that I didn't feel comfortable doing, I'd run at. I wouldn't like try and confront, I'd run at it, because it's your shadow. Your shadow is the other part of you, the things you're scared of doing, the dark sides, the insecurities. And shadow gets further away if you walk towards it, which is why you got to run. Yeah. And that's how...
So true.
Because like jumping in the pool.
It's like yes theory, seeking discomfort.
Exactly. It's the seeking discomfort, because that's how you grow. And it's like, now I feel confident enough to talk on a stage, whereas I had awful stage fright and things like that.
Yeah.
Or like, first couple gigs, I was terrified. I was always looking at every single face in the crowd to see whether they liked it. Now I'm like, look, even... There's points. Everyone's had these points where there's a disconnect. And even some people might be like, there's some people dancing, but I'm like, I really want everyone to feel involved. And so there'll be like, 10 minutes of that disconnect. And then suddenly, I'm like, you don't stop. You play a thing, they all come back. And I had one set where I'd been the DJ for a live band for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where people were starting to go home. A load of people went in the other room. And then I had an hour and a half set. And I'm like, oh my God. And this room that used to have 300 people in it right before I go on now has 7. And I'm like...
When was this? What time?
Oh God. It was like...
Years ago? Or
like No, this was months ago. Okay. But basically it's because it was some corporate thing. And at points when there was 3 people in there, I'm like, why am I doing this? Like this... I wouldn't mind DJing to 3 people, but 3 people who used to be 300 is like crushing. And
of course,
I kept going, and then
I would cry.
Yeah, I know it was quite rough.
That's why you're a great DJ.
Yeah, and I just kept going, and I went, don't stop. At one point, I was like, is there any point in this? And the guy was like, look, just do it. And so even the guys who booked me, they left, right? And then suddenly, out of nowhere, I was so consistent for so long. All these people who were still in the foyer, I didn't even know were there, come back in. Suddenly, there's 60 people, and I'm like,
mad.
Yes.
Got a party back on.
And it goes off, and at the end, people are shaking my hand going, that was incredible. And I go, oh, were you there for the first 50 minutes and there's no one there? But that's it. If you don't listen to that voice in your head, and you listen to this guy here, the heart, because your heart is what connects you to the flow state, is what athletes, they silence that internal critic, and they it's their essence. Because, like gut feeling from your heart.
I find it really hard sometimes to disconnect. It's a practice, and meditation helps. And I'm so bad at it because I find meditation boring, even though I love it when I do it.
Yeah. It's hard, especially ADHD. Everyone's got it. Everyone has got this thing nowadays where it's so hard to disconnect.
And then trusting your intuition as well, because if things happen, like now I'm re-trusting it. But I went through a period of time where it's like you can lose trust, but you really do, because it. I've had some really big YouTuber try get me to pressurizing me and saying he'll muddy my name if I don't sign this very
intrusive document
after we filmed, which isn't how it happens. And my heart was like, my lawyer was like, yeah, he's manipulating you. And in my heart, I was like, it doesn't feel right. And he's like, why don't you know? I was like, I'm sorry, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Goodbye. But that's off topic. But what you said is super interesting.
Well, you're right. You've got to feel that instinct because it is a muscle, and the more you follow it, and sometimes there's some weird instincts. Like sometimes I'm just even at an event, and you're like, I've got to go, and it's that instinct. Like people talk about stories where they've left and then something happened. Like my friend left a party and someone got stabbed, and she had this feeling like I need to leave, and it was here. Her head went, I want to stay. I'm with my mates. Her heart was like, I have to go.
I can't tell sometimes. I'm like, am I being paranoid or is my intuition telling me something?
But that's the problem is because
have you had that?
Yeah. I think the other one is like that heart feeling could also be something else. Like I remember one time someone was saying something, and I was like, oh, what? And they'd said really good advice, and then suddenly I was like, wait a minute, that last one was pure envy. The last one was like, oh, I don't trust them because of this. And I'm like, they were like, no, I've got this feeling here. I'm like, is that actually intuition? Because it can be confusing. Anxiety feels like intuition in your chest.
Yeah, because people feel jealousy and it's not fair for them to feel that.
And all of that thinging and that tightness in your chest can be a million things. But for me, even when DJing, my brain would be like, bring it in now. I press it in now. It was the wrong time. And a lot of people and DJs will count. They'll do 16 bars. They'll bring it in, all these things. I've never done that. Never once. So many people will be like, that is how you DJ. You need to know there's a build for 16. There's a chorus for 16. And then music, people make drum and bass and stuff and house to these specific measurements so they're easy to DJ. And people go like, oh, what? Because that's going to drop in 32. I'm like, what? How much is 32? And they're like, do you not know? And I'm like, well, from making a song, I would know. Yeah. But I'm not looking at that. For me, it's entirely instinctual because it's like, I listen to the song, this is the point where I need to press play. And it's what my heart says, because if my head goes, bring it in now, bang, it's the wrong time, you've got to adjust and all this stuff.
It's your intuition. And I feel the same way I think it's the same with a lot of creative things, and with decision making. When I'm making a film or stuff, it's intuition to make the edits. It's not, there's no like, I must do this and that.
You just flick it in, and sometimes you take a risk. It seems like illogical, and it just works.
Yeah, and sometimes it's also like made from thousands and thousands of decisions you've made before, which is so hard to like. You can't trace. You can't be like, it's because of this. Well, it's just a rhythm. It's a feeling. It's like you.
Yeah. Guy called Tim, I was on the circle with, Professor Tim. He said that intuition. He's a lovely guy. Yeah. He said intuition is the cousin of knowledge. And it's true. It's experience and knowledge feeds intuition. And it is this sixth sense that animals have. The same way animals, this literally a known fact, a hunter will point a gun at a deer and it will be like, freak out. And it can't possibly sense it. But it's the same thing with, they did a test. Loads of people don't believe me on this. Google it. I'm not going to cite things, but actually, I sound like one of those like right-wing things. Google it, man. Google it. It's out there. The truth's out there. But basically, the CIA did a test on dogs and their owners. And they got the dogs... They monitored, and then they monitored the owners, and when the owner made the conscious decision to return home, the dog knew every time. The dog's ears would like prick up and stuff. But they did the test from a mile away. They did it from 6 miles away, and they purposely did it unrhythmically because people were like, "Oh, that's just how long a walk takes." No, they changed the length of walks, and every time with it was like an 89% accuracy. The dog immediately reacted when the owner turned around. And it's like, what? Someone tried to tell me the dog was hearing the owner. And I went, okay. And we looked it up. Dogs can hear like 6 miles, right? Or something ridiculous. But in New York City, you cannot hear a footstep 6 miles away because there is a million footsteps closer than that.
Of course.
That is completely illogical.
Intuition. And you can't also really know what dogs think.
Yeah.
I do think... I mean, because I used to think when I was a kid, because my philosophy teacher was like, dogs can't think. And I was like, yeah, he's right. And then now I think, actually, Mr. Weir, you have no clue. I think
there's a different level of consciousness to us. They're not maybe thinking about quantum physics, but everything has like intuition. Even like plants
can't be shown.
It's
It's vibrations and crystals. I've been opening my mind to that because it does make sense. Like, actually, logically, if you think the world is such an infinitely complex thing and there are vibrations and energy levels proved.
100%.
Of course, everything has.
Emotions are literally just energy in motion.
Yeah.
There's a measurable effect in our body. When we feel different emotions, our heart beats different speeds, our body runs at different speeds, we get different temperatures. It's just energy in motion. Hot-headed, I'm angry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Literally.
I feel cold, I'm sad. Blue is associated with sadness. Red is associated with passion, love, and, and then all of them, if you look at the electromagnetic spectrum, it's all, again, it's energy. And
it's fascinating.
And it's the same thing with like I played plants once, which sounds really weird, but this guy hooked up these sensors to different leaves on plants, and as you touched them, it would play like an instrument. And basically, at one point, he tried to light one of the leaves with a lighter, and the plant changed the pitch it was playing, like astronomically, from something calming to something alarming. And he went, what the fuck? I just threatened the plant. And another time he said something about like destroying the plant. He like said it and went to grab the plant. And again, it changed. It changed the pitch. And people don't believe it, whatever. But it's like our intentions have an energy. Like if you walk into a room and you feel like something's wrong here because someone's upset or something, that is you picking up on the energy. Yeah. And people will be like, oh, no, you're picking up on, you made eye contact with someone, they look sad, or you picked up on a pheromone. Yeah. What is a pheromone but just a form of energy? It is literal, a thing we cannot physically see that indicates information.
It's true.
That's an energy. Yeah. That's a signal. And that's why, what happens when people want to kiss? There's that moment where you're awkwardly sitting there, neither of you know what you want to do. There is an actual chemical reaction where usually the female sends a signal to the male, relays, and sends back through pheromones, and that's when you both know you want to kiss. It's when the bodies physically decide biologically. So you can look in the scientific thing, and then you can look in the spiritual romantic thing. That's an exchange of energy. And in fact, when you kiss someone, you exchange all this data. So a bad kiss is someone who biologically is less likely to be a good pairing with you. Genuinely.
That's insane.
And so much romance can be boiled down to science, but that doesn't take away. There's no this nihilistic thing. This is all a cosmic accident. Because people are like, oh, nothing matters. We're all a mistake. There's no God, whatever. If that is your opinion, why does it have to be nihilistic? If this is chaos, embrace the chaos. You're only here because of an impossible possibility. So why not make the most of it? And if you believe in God, do the same. It's like God has put you here for a reason. And it's whatever you believe in,
you're here.
There's possibility.
You're alive.
Yeah.
And the chances of you being alive are so insane that it's like, why would you waste it for a minute doing something, that's, which you don't like? Or like, just fucking make the most of it. You're going to live once. And it's hard to remember because most people in society don't actually think that. Yeah. But I'm also interested, this is a question I ask a lot of my guests. What advice would you tell Woody 4 or 5 years ago?
4 or 5 years ago.
And feel free to take a minute to think about it.
I think what I'd say to Woody is don't be so hard on yourself. Make mistakes. It was already things I kind of knew, but they're the things, the more I embraced them, the more I grew. And this applies to me and anyone else, is that if you're surrounded by people who are rude to you and things like that, the problem's not always with you. A lot of the time it's not with you. And I'm not saying don't change, don't grow, because you need to grow. Yeah. And sometimes people say stuff, and it's true. Like, I used to be a massive dick when I was a kid. Everyone did. Everyone changes and evolves. But sometimes the problem is not you. The problem is the people you're surrounded by. And find your tribe. And that's why it's Truth Tribe. It's like, I made a conscious decision when I was about 18 that a lot of the people in my life didn't have my back. Even if they were my friends, they're not the cool enough people who'd call me up when I was sad, or like, I wouldn't get invited to anything. I'd invite people to everything. I rocked up to like 5 parties uninvited because no one ever invited me to anything. And everyone really liked it. I'd have loads of fun and people would make loads of friends, still not get invited to the next one. And on the 5th party, they didn't let me in, and I sat by a dual carriageway for 5 hours until someone went home. So maybe don't just turn up to parties, but you know what I mean. The idea was
how do you that?
You just got to push through.
I think that is it, because even if you're in like a popular group or stuff, that doesn't fucking matter. Me and one of my best friends, Jack, we had a look around. We're like, a lot of these people, they don't actually really care about me, or like. There was a saying, many words said in jest. I love a bit of bad, but like, if somebody's like, after a while, you're like,
always in jest,
if they're draining energy. So I had a rule where it's like, they minimum have to have 0 or impact on my life. If it's -1 or minus, they'll get cut out. If it's sappers, like a really, sappers.
I think I made a very powerful manifestation that day where I basically, I ended up after I'd slept in 2 days, I'd come back from a festival, and suddenly my mate invited all these people into my house. Bearing in mind, I'd just been on a tour bus with my dad, and so my dad doesn't even know he's going to wake up to a house full of like teenagers off their face. And so it's like one of those things of just, I felt bad for him, I felt anxious, I didn't even want everyone in my house, and it was like, I'd been afraid to say no. But I was also like, it's not my job to say no, it's my job to have people who aren't going to take advantage of me. And so I stood out and I looked out upon the horizon, stamped down my foot, and like Gandalf, you shall not pass moment, where I went, for the rest of my life, I never have to see a single prick who does not have the time for me. Because it's like one of those things, it's about that exchange. Everyone around me, I would, if they were feeling unwell, whatever, I'd go to their house, I'd drop what I was doing, I'd spend hours looking after them, and like very little did it back. So I was like, my manifestation was, I will find them. And if I have one friend, so be it. If I have two friends, so be it. Because I'd rather have, you know, like people have a million friends, but it's as wide as the ocean, as shallow as a pond, as a puddle.
Much rather have 6.
Yeah, and you could have a 6. That's and it's like it's that deep friendship. And I think now I've got it's quite a big group, but everyone came one by one. And what would happen is people would rock up and just never leave because suddenly they'd be like, oh my god. And they'd go, oh, my friends were all kind of dicks. They find this new space. And one by one, I called it the Losers Club because we were all people who kind of felt disenfranchised. But really, people go, oh, you're not losers. And I go, no, but it's like this ironic stamp because we were labelled the Losers Club. But at one festival, there was like 8 of us. And everyone was like, oh, God, look, it's all the kind of people who didn't want.
Yeah.
And by the end of the festival, the bigger group couldn't put up their tent, chaos, some of them went home, like, so there were people throwing up, not eating. Yeah. We were sitting under two tarpaulin, gazebos, and we were holding them down because of the wind, and we were the happy as Larry. And suddenly the Losers Club, they were coming to sit with us, and we're like, yeah, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so I would say to anyone who's struggling with that is, notice the real people around you, treasure them, but also put it out to the universe. You know, you've got to find these people and things, but the best way I did was, I said, when I'm going to uni, I'm going to find the right people. And I really believed it. And then I did. And it sounds crazy, but it's like, that's the vibration I'm emitting. And so
I don't think it sounds crazy. It sounds like the law of attraction.
Yeah.
Like attracts like. It's why I've, whenever I've done something I really wanted for the yes theory thing when I was younger, I manifested it. I wrote it on my wall. I've practiced believing that I had it. And then 3 months later, I had it, even though it felt impossible.
Yeah, I got really into spirituality. I apologized to a lot of the people I'd screwed over in my life. I accepted my flaws. I fought my shadow, started meditating and all of that. And then I get a DM out of the blue, do you want to be on the show called The Circle? And it was night and day. It was literally 2 weeks after I became a good person.
So your energy level shifted.
It was that kind of thing. And it was a DM out of the blue, but that led to everything else. And it was that impossible moment changed everything. But it was, people go, oh, you know, luck and things like that. But I personally am under the belief that luck can be manipulated through good deeds, concentration, and it's like it's that power that we have, the power of you. I mean, there was the guy, the first guy to run
as well.
Yeah, good karma, 100%. The guy who ran the 6 minute mile, everyone said it was impossible. He did it. Next year, 3 other people did it or something.
Yeah,
and it's like, what? How? And it's because they believed, because he had done it, so they now saw it's possible.
That's all it is. And do you think with because I know what you've achieved and what you're doing and what you're still building is awesome. Do you think anybody could do it?
I think you need a team. You need the right people around you, and if you don't have that, you need to find them. Because I couldn't have done. I don't like to say any of this, but most of this without certain circumstances. Like my manager Oscar. He is the most self-made man I've ever met, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I love him. Yeah, he went from literally on the street with nothing, and he went, cardboard. I'm going to make art out of cardboard and sell it in Brighton. And he starts flipping cardboard paintings for 200 quid, right? And goes the whole way up to now we're in Soho House with all these fancy people. And it's because he didn't see negatives. He didn't see what he didn't have. He saw possibility. And he saw that anything came to people who really work for it. And so much of my hardworking spirit now was rubbed off via osmosis. You know, they say the 5 people around you. I don't want to quote all those Andrew Tate people, but like
Andrew Tate wouldn't say that shit. Andrew Tate would say some toxic shit. 5 people is so true.
100%.
The 5 people you spend your time with, you become like, or people say like you become 70% like. I'm not sure if I believe that, but I think it can have definitely a significant impact when you're around good energy. If you spend a week here with these amazing people and Fred against
inspiring people,
like your possibilities, your happiness, your life, what I can do.
Well, that's it.
If you spend it in a week with people who are like, yeah, bro, you got no chance. You become fucking depressed.
And you need. I honestly, one of the best things I did is like living with people who were more hardworking than I was. Every time I went to go distract someone, I see them working. obviously, I would say 2/3 of the time I did distract them, but 1/3 of the time I would go and do work. And sometimes they'd be like, mate, I'm doing this. And then suddenly my ADHD was like, hey, there is these things you could do. And instead of having someone who's like, let's go for a pint, you know, I had these people who were like, I actually have to study or whatever. Yeah. It really affected me because it made me go do more work. And like going around with Oscar and everything like that, it would be like, he'd be like, you could do this, you could do that. And suddenly all these ideas that I had were ideas I put into action. And it was because I really wanted to do them. But I mean, I spent like most of school doing the least possible. I trained my brain to avoid.
I almost got kicked out.
Yeah. I got detentions, all of it. It was like, and
ADHD because we can't do stuff we don't like.
Yeah, exactly. If I'm not impassioned,
exhibit A, B.
Yeah. Or even
voila, baby.
Exactly. I took a load of Ritalin. I only got to uni because of Ritalin, and I had to buy it off someone because no one would go get me tested.
Do you still take it now?
No, I don't, because I at the moment what I'm trying to do is you said it too. I only drink green tea and the occasional tea because if I don't have any sort of stimulation, I can just about get by on life without ADHD medicine.
Yeah.
But then when I'm tired and stuff, it's a lot harder. But at my base level, I'm now productive, which is great. And it's just because like coffee, unproductive.
Yeah. It's
lack
like
of sleep,
fine line.
unproductive. And that fine line, I'll do like 4 days.
If I don't sleep for 2 days, I'm like,
100%.
I'm done.
If I'm either really hungover or if I can't do 4 days in my house just doing work. If I don't do something inspiring, I will spend 2 days kind of spiraling. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't get that. It's like if in winter, like it's the same here. Like well, not the same because it's so beautiful, but the sun goes down at 5 and it's just dark. And it's like in the UK, it's so dreary. You're looking out the window. If you don't do something inspiring, at least every 3 days for me, like even if it's just running through a park with your mates, throwing a frisbee, I don't know, like going to a weird, not even just a pub, don't go to a pub, go to a really weird venue and get one weird cocktail and then talk to some random guy from another country. And then that's all you need. Or just go to
something fresh.
It's about getting out of that space. And look, not everyone can go to New York, but anyone can go somewhere weird in your neighborhood or just even to a friend you don't usually see and do something you don't usually do, because that's all you need sometimes. Like sometimes all I need is to make a cocktail, put on one time, this is genuine, I did, I was really nervous and I couldn't get any work done, so I put on a suit that I have this purple suit that I bought, I wore at a festival once. I put on the suit and I went, this is a business suit. Whenever I wear the business suit, I will do business. I drank an espresso martini, put on sunglasses. My mate went, what the fuck's wrong with you? And I got loads done. Yeah. And for me, it was my headspace. I was like, now I feel suave.
Yeah.
I'm just in the mood to do something. And it's just weird.
When you get dressed in a suit or you look really like, and you're like, I look fucking stressed.
I'm feeling myself.
Yeah. And then you actually do. You look at me like, damn, or like in a tuxedo when you're a kid. You walk out like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm what? Yeah.
Or my mum would put me in like a leather jacket and I feel like a greaser.
Yeah. It's why Brian Eno with, I think, Coldplay or something. I saw in a documentary. They put buckets on their head. Yeah. They do loads of things like that.
I know, I agree.
Switch up their headspace.
Even sometimes, like, I could put a blanket over me, like, look like E.T. wrapped in it, and just my face sticking out.
Like a little Yoda.
And then suddenly I'll carry on typing. And it's weird. Or like, recently, because I was letting some friends stay in my bed, like 2 of them at one point, and so the one would sleep in the living room, one would sleep in my bed, and then I'm still doing work, so I would sit in the hallway. I started getting loads done because I decorated our hallway. We've got like LED lights. I tried to make it look like Times Square, and I would sit there with my headphones on, and then one time my mate comes out and goes, "You okay?" And I had a candle lit, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm listening to traditional Japanese music and writing stuff," and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, yeah. I've got a green tea and some mezcal. And they're like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, hey.
Banging,
yeah, firstly, mezcal's banging. They serve it everywhere here. Secondly, 12 till 3, half 3, I get so much done. And then people are like, oh, you don't wake up till 12. I'm like, yeah, but I got so much done while you were asleep. Yeah. And because there's no one else to talk to. And I'm just, bang, I'm in the mode.
I do the exact same thing. Like, my mum's always like, because I've been staying with them for a couple months in London to save money and stuff like that. And she's like, Zeb, you should consider, well, she was suggesting I consider modafinil an offshot of Ritalin. Yeah. Because she was like, I noticed you constantly move throughout the house. Yeah. But it's not a bad thing. I just like to work on the staircase.
New location, yeah.
Because I like, this is going to sound, I don't think I'm autistic. I just like the feel of the staircase, and it switches up my
100%.
my mental space. Or I like working in the kitchen and someone.
Yeah, I know. I completely get the mental space thing because
as you said, the Yoda.
Yeah.
I put like
wrap up,
on.
blanket over my head, can't see anything.
Put a candle on.
I think for me, I realised that I over the years I really struggle. Oh crap! The camera's the leg just took off.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, so at my mum's house, I spent years dodging homework, and she's so lovely, and we'd watch stuff.
Yeah.
I find it almost impossible to do anything productive there until I started going into a weird room I'd never been in. And that's it, there's new energy. I associated certain rooms, like my room at my dad's, I associate with relaxing, with stuff. But then there's one corner where I can just work. And because I cleared the space, for some reason I've in my head, people say play a certain type of music or this. I'll light a candle when I really need to do something focused. And usually I work until the candle burns out. And it's just this kind of like signaling to your head. And so like it's about making that workspace, work environment, because it's not about people like diagnoses and stuff. I've got ADHD, I've got dyslexia, and it's not meant to be this label to enslave me or get me on any pills. It's to help me work around it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, if you found out that you had like a knee that you shouldn't run but you can do cycling or something because there's no load impact.
And you're amazing at something.
Yeah, you'd want to know.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's things to avoid doing that are going to make you not as productive as a human. It's like how you, because our society's not built for everyone in the same way.
No.
And so anyone, even things like, you know, sexuality, all of this, it's like finding all this out isn't about stamping a label, making it your cult, making it your personality. It's about understanding yourself to also express yourself. Because otherwise, I think Oscar Wilde was asked, he was in prison for being gay, and he was asked, would you go back and when they let him out and stop that? And he went, no, it would be a denial of the soul. And I love that, because he's like, I'm me because I went to prison. The me who didn't go to prison is not me. And I'll never be that person. And it would be a denial of my soul and my adventure, my kind of me,
who you
to
are,
do that.
Yeah. And that's following your intuition as well.
Exactly. And now people ask, would I go back and change time? I'm like, well, no, because if I could change, if it was this person going back there, yes. But if I was going to give myself advice, no, because I needed to make every mistake to be this person. If it all gone really well, I would have been a dick. Because you have to be... The universe has a sense of humor and a sense of humility, and it'll prank you. It'll build you up so high. I almost had a festival. I don't know, it's a club night. All of this stuff, all these people chatting, and they pull the rug under you, screw you over, and all of those things teach you so that when the right person comes, you value it. You've practiced, so you're ready for it, and that's it. Catching the wind. I made songs that would have got that. Like, I made a song. And it sounded exactly like Little Sims's album, Sometimes I'd Be Introvert, before she released any tracks off it. Every track that released, my mates were like, what the hell? Because I was like, I want to get Little Sims on this. Yeah. And my song sounds like a B-side from that album. And had I caught the wind? You know, if I'd been producing for 10 years, maybe I could have been... And that's the thing. Yeah. But you don't think about that. You think, if I caught the wind once, or could have caught the wind, I was onto something. Keep going.
Exactly.
Until one day... Yeah, because like, I know you've had your own ups and downs where you went to work for this, you went to work for that, but you know it's the consistency. Like someone said yesterday, and I really like it, it takes 10 years to blow up overnight.
Yes.
And it's like, you have to keep working because one day you will be in the room. In fact, there's two rappers who did that, Eminem and Ocean Wisdom. Both of them set the world record for rapping the fastest, and both share one key ingredient. They are put in the studio and they freestyled one of the best tunes. One freestyled, "Hi, my name is." Dr. Dre put on a beat, and Eminem just, before he starts recording, goes, "Hi, my name is," and he goes, "What, stop." Hits record. One take. Wow. "Hi, my name is." Ocean Wisdom is in the studio with Dirty Dyke. Dirty Dyke, oh no, they're not actually, he's in the back of the studio. Dirty Dyke's got a guy called Prince Kong, and Prince Kong's about to spit. He's too drunk. He's like, "Oh, mate, I can't do it." Dyke's like, "I made this beat, what you on about? Do it." He's like, "No. Why don't you give Ocean Wisdom a try?" And he goes, "What, you spit?" And he goes, "Yeah." Comes to the front. "See me, I'm walking, right, because I don't run, fam. Make a film about me with a proper fucking stunt man." Bang. One take. Tune. And the tune breaks the world record for the fastest rap verse. On a freestyle. Clearly, he's practiced it. It's like, he's not,
well, there's
it's not
also
a song,
consistency. They've both been doing it for, I'm sure, a decade.
Exactly. And that's it.
That's what it is.
Or even if it's not a decade, they just sweated out the time they had. Yeah. They maximized it. And there's a lyric from Ocean Wisdom, which is like, while you were watching Netflix, I was in the library, and all this other stuff where he talks about like, what was it? When I was working, you're on a night out, blah, 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 the ketamine you sniffing got you clumsy. And he has this whole thing basically going, I've grinded this shit. And then later on, it's the braggadocious whatever, because he worked his arsehole to get there. And I think that both of those show you that, let's say, because I had a dream years ago, I was on stage with Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole. And then like, as dreams do, like suddenly, you know, like people just change who they are. And like your best mate's in a dream and then it's your other best mate. Well, like, I think at some point Asai Rashad was there, another really rapper I really like. Either way, they come up to me and go, it's your verse. I go, what? Like, we're massive fans of your music. I go, what do you mean? And they're like, do your verse. And I couldn't do a verse because I don't have a verse. But I want to make music, right? And I think the dream was trying to say, like, there was the guy at Glastonbury, Alex from Glastonbury. Dave got him up. He didn't just rap that verse, he rapped Dave's verse and became overnight success. And it's one of those things like, if I were on stage, what would I do? And that's what anyone thinks. If you want to do anything in life, whatever it is, from video editing to acting to being a doctor, whatever, if you were put in front of your idol, would you have something that would speak to you, what you'll know you're capable of?
Because I think you know if you're ready.
That's how you know if you're ready. And I think that's the biggest thing I'm working on now is like, I know it's in there and I know that I can get there, but I don't want to get there once. I want to get there every time. Like, it just sounds like sex. No, you know what I mean. I don't want to. I don't want to be like.
I get you completely. I mean, it's also the fun is in the journey.
100%, and that's it. And you've got to enjoy it.
I think it's more fun trying to make it, and like that bit of like early success than like trying to like solidify yourself is more fun. Sometimes the first early stage when you're like just trying to like actually earn something is quite stressful.
Yeah.
Once you reach a stage where more like you have respect and like but you haven't made it yet.
100%.
That's fun.
And I think
that's exciting.
Another great advice with that and the journey is, sorry, it's the beer. That's not the advice. George Harrison from the Beatles, he said, I watched Paul McCartney, I watched John Lennon, and I went, shit, they're human beings. Anyone can be Paul McCartney or John Lennon. Because if you make 500 songs, the 501st will be good. And he went, the first 500 probably be shit. Yeah. But the 501, that will be a good song. And that works for literally anything. You want to write books. Have you written one book? Okay. You don't want to write books. You wanted to write a book. Someone said this to me at Glastonbury years ago, in 2019. I was like, I want to be in music. And then she sat me down and went, do you really want to be in music? I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, how old are you? I was like, I'm 18. They're like, okay, how many rap songs had Stormzy made at 18? How many rap songs had Dave made at 18? I'm like, quite a lot. And he's like, yeah, how many tracks have you made? I'm like, 3. She's like, see, my problem here, if you want to do it, then do it. But don't half-ass it, because it's not an industry you can half-ass. And that really spoke to me. And so she gave me 3 books, the 5 a.m. Club, which is like a self-help book, a gratitude diary, which again, I did for a year. I've just started doing it again. The gratitude diary is great because every day, every morning, you write things you're grateful for.
I love that.
And it puts you in the headspace, and it accelerates your like gratitude and your headspace. Yeah. And so I actually started doing it again. It's been 4 years I'm doing them again. And another self-help book. And all of those changed my mindset and how to learn how to grow. And then from then on, it was like every single free gig, it was like at one point I was like, I do birthdays, bar mitzvahs, funerals. I'm like, honestly, like I'd play a wake. Yeah. I'd play in the street for no one listening.
Yeah, jack of all trades.
Yeah, and it's like because I needed every single piece of practice. And it's slapping. And everything, and pushing out comfort zones, all of it. Even, there were times I didn't want to do things, sometimes,
That's how you get better.
But you have to push yourself out there. And it's like, and also if it's one of those things, if you're waiting for someone to recognize your talent, you're doing it wrong. Because the only reason people go, oh yeah, but you get booked for gigs because you're well known. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie. At the start of each year, I have no gigs because nobody there's a few people go, oh, we want to book him, but only people who have seen me. I don't have a big enough name that people go, hey, should we get them? It's only people, okay, sometimes in pride, because they're like, oh, I've seen him on TV. But most of the time, almost every single gig, we went to a party, I played, we got booked. We went to Soho House, me and my manager chatted a load of people's ears off. They booked me for something, and it's a rolling ball. And so your first, from a modeling gig to a film set thing that's because, I know a guy who was on a DJ thing because he DM'd them and he said, local DJs looking for sets in your area. And he did it as if it was one of those pastiche porn adverts. And the guy liked it so much he hired him. Because he took a risk. Yeah, he just was like, I need sets.
That is literally it. As you say, I'm fed up with people saying it's just luck because, I mean, luck can be a part of the equation, but luck only happens when preparation is met.
Stay up all night to get lucky.
Yeah, because you can't, exactly. Because luck can happen, right? Like, Fred again could have seen your set at Glastonbury. But if you were really shit because you hadn't put the hard work in.
Or if I hadn't booked that set. I phoned up a load of people to book that set. I wouldn't.
And if you hadn't worked hard to get that set.
You
wouldn't. So luck happens sometimes, but it's where preparation is present. Otherwise, the luck doesn't.
It's making space for the luck.
Yeah.
Because the universe might want you to succeed, but if you're not in the right place,
you have to do it.
They say right place, right time, but the people were still in that right place at the right time. They got there. Yeah. Whether that was like a creative space, whether and it's like so. Whatever your passion is, whatever your industry is, it's about making way for that. And also,
it's all hard work.
Learning off everyone around you, because if you don't know something, find someone who knows it better than you and learn from them. Or like a memoir, an autobiography. These people lived 80 years, made 80 years of mistakes, made 80 years of lessons. Learn from them, and then because we don't have those wisdom. 80 years.
It's wisdom. Yeah. That's what kind of the show was originally about, was 5 lessons for life, to try to get people's wisdom. Like, because if you can collect people's issues tend to be quite similar. So if you can collect and learn about it, it's amazing. And you're completely right. I love that attitude about you. It's not anything is possible, which sounds a bit dramatic. Maybe there's some things which aren't, but it truly kind of is. It's like what you make it is what you make it. The hard work you put in is. And if you look at all the most successful people, I did a video on this years ago. If you look at your favorite celebrities, there's some people who are famous for nothing, like Love Island. Put them to one side. They're the 1%. Look at the 99%. You're recognized for something. Everybody who's got there and has been highly recognized, which ultimately is what fame is. Fame is going, you're really, really good at this, so we recognize you. They're really, really good at it. It's not luck. Yeah. It's because they're Timothée Chalamet. He was working non-stop since he was 12. Yeah. And he didn't have same with Tom Holland. There's a trend here.
Even Christian Bale was almost in Twilight. He was meant to be the main in Twilight, and they said he was too old. And no, Henry Cavill. Sorry, Henry Cavill. But whereas Christian Bale lost out to Leonardo DiCaprio in four different roles.
Tough, to be fair.
Before he became, and even they wanted. I think they wanted. Leonardo DiCaprio to play American Psycho, and they were like, oh, not Christian Bale. And then during the production, people said he was shit at acting, and that's one of the most iconic actors ever and roles ever, because he didn't listen. He just kept on going. And that's the thing, is they say all this natural talent thing is a lot of these people who changed the world and stuff, they were working 5 hours a day for 10 years, and it's natural my arse. We only the only thing any of us do for 5 hours a day is scroll. We're going to be the best at scrolling, at consuming. Exactly. You know what I mean? It's if we did, I don't put 5 hours a day, and I wish I could, and I'm trying to I'm getting better every kind of week that goes by. I reckon I'm doing more hours in a week, but it's so hard. If I was in the 1800s, maybe I would read for 5 hours a day. There's nothing else to do.
I'm not reading for 5 hours a day.
Yeah, nowadays there's.
Oh, fuck that. No,
there's so much going on.
I'll do 20 minutes, and that's a success.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, Woody, it's been a pleasure.
Mate, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for coming.
And
I think we had a really fun.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And look at us. Who would have thought, right?
Come on.
Who would have thought? It's the Ant-Man thing.
I'm actually going to piss myself.